All right. Cheers, man.
Cheers, 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 cheers.
I bet you feel happy. We're with your beloved Suige. It's so good. It is
So good.
Drunken whale.
I love this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't like a little cute little whale on here?
Yeah, the drunken whale.
It's a cheap sake and it's a good sake.
It's a good sake. It's like you said, it's the working man sake.
Yeah.
It's good. But no, the working man sake is like honjozo, the ones that are like mixed with distilled alcohol.
Yeah.
This is like when you want to be a little fancy. You know what this is? This is like the Blue Moon.
Oh, there's like a Blue Moon beer.
Like a Blue Moon beer, because Blue Moon is actually not that fancy because it's owned by Budweiser, but it feels fancy.
But you get a Blue Moon when you want to be like, oh,
yeah,
I want a night beer.
Yeah,
You know?
right.
Let me go slice an orange.
Yeah.
No, but it's true. You can't drink Blue Moon without a sliced orange in it.
It's very true. It's very true. You can't have like Dos Equis without a lime on it.
Yeah, right?
Too. Yeah. But today we're not going to be talking about beer. Today, we have two topics we can talk about today.
Yeah.
One is why we decided to raise our kids in Japan.
Yeah.
And another one is things we feel are strange about American culture, things that are strange in America.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to do first?
Let's do the kid one. Because I think the strange one will be fun when we get a little bit more drunk.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, this is a more serious topic.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm just going to address the low-hanging fruit. I raised my kids in Japan because I live in Japan.
Really?
I know, it's a big surprise.
So why do you live in Japan, though?
Because I like it here.
But why?
No, but like to get a little bit more deep into the topic, like one of the things that I find here is early childhood development is like decades ahead of the U.S. Here in Japan.
Oh, really? What makes you feel that?
Like maybe, or maybe depending on how you look at it, it's like decades behind the U.S., but in a good way.
Okay.
But basically what I'm talking about is if you see a lot of kids over in the U.S., there's a lot of pushing to get them to hurry up and get into academics.
Yeah.
Like I'll give you a perfect example of this, and you'll instantly recognize it. Skipping grades.
Okay. Oh yeah, in America you can skip grades.
Super common in America for your child to skip grade, literally skip a year.
Yeah, so go from second grade to fourth grade.
Yeah,
skip third grade.
Yeah, right. And it's this hurry up kind of mentality, right? And
every once in a while you get those really young kids in high school that just don't belong there.
Yeah, but like even in high school they have a program called Running Start.
Yeah, right.
Right? Where basically like really intelligent and gifted kids can like just kind of breeze through school and go to high school for like 1 or 2 years and then start in college. And I mean, from an academic standpoint, like I don't agree with this, but like the belief is like, well, they're so smart, so they're wasting their time. But like that is such a terrible system. I don't even know where to begin. So going back to why I think Japan is really great for raising kids, like in terms of school, especially in elementary school, Japan, I mean, obviously they focus on learning stuff, but like the main focus of elementary school is not studying. It's learning how to socialize.
Okay.
Right? And you see that. You have a lot of like group activities in elementary school, like kids make their own lunch and they make it together as a class, right? And it's like all of this thing that's built up teaching children how to be like functional members in society.
Yeah, I think it's funny because in America in college, no one ever goes to college for the classes. It's always for the experience because of how it changes you.
Yeah.
But for some reason, especially I think since you and I got older, it's gotten worse over time. There's been more focusing on testing, but they're getting rid of recess. They're getting rid of all this stuff because it's just focusing on tests. But really, like school is a place for you to become a well-rounded human.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm going to get a little bit personal in here, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me, but a lot of adult topics get pushed on elementary schools these days. Like
where?
In the U.S.
In the U.S., okay.
like, I mean, there's the whole topic of like, gender identity that's been pushed, and there's the.
Tommy, are you a girl?
But like, even going back to when I was a kid, I'm going to give you a personal experience. When I was in, God, how old was I in 2000? I was 10 years old.
Okay.
What is that? Like 5th grade, 6th grade?
So I thought 10 years old is 4th grade, but it could be 5th grade.
Okay. Whatever. It's 4th, 5th, 6th grade, elementary school, right?
Yeah.
I think 2000 was when the presidential election between George Bush and what's his face, the environmental guy,
Al Gore.
Yeah. Right. There was that big thing, and I remember our teacher talking about it, and we had these like big pushes during recess of like some kids supporting Bush, some kids supporting Al Gore.
Really?
And like we would have these like presidential marches in school.
Wow.
And like I didn't think of it at like really much of it at the time, as a 10-year-old, but like reflecting back on it like over the past few years, that's disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Like I'm really upset that I experienced that now.
Yeah.
And you see that everywhere in the US now.
Okay.
And it's a lot of it has to do with the teachers kind of just throwing like their own, experiences or agenda, or it might be good or well intentioned, right? Like maybe the teacher wants to teach kids about like current like politics or something, but you shouldn't be teaching a 10-year-old politics.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like those kind of things. It's like I feel like there's such an emphasis on getting kids to grow up in America, instead of just letting a kid be a kid.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, because also, when I was in 3rd grade, so when I was 8 years old, I got to bring this up. Did you ever get like the police officer come into your school to talk about DARE?
Yeah. No, there's another good example. You're like, you're kidding. You're literally bringing in.
This is ridiculous.
The DARE police officer, and was McGruff part of that?
Yeah, McGruff was part of that. Yeah,
I can't remember if McGruff was part of. Anyways, there's literally like
there's a line on here now.
Oh yeah.
So Masa, can you pull this up? Okay. Yeah. So basically, like DARE was. Do you know what DARE stood for? Drug awareness. Oh, no, drug abuse resistance education right here.
Oh, okay.
Drug abuse resistance education.
I just remember like the anti-DARE campaign from when we were in middle school, because DARE stands for drugs are really entertaining. So that everyone would remember a lot of DARE is.
But here's a good picture.
Yeah,
because this is what it was.
Yeah, everyone who grew up in the 90s.
I was 7 years old when this happened.
Yeah, and it's right. This cop's coming in, and like they would be like, "Hey guys, you're gonna be entering junior high pretty soon, and there's a lot of kids who smoke cigarettes in junior high. Don't
just
be one of them.
Just say no.
Just say no, right?" And it's just like you're talking to like 9-year-olds.
Yes. So to give a little bit of background in this, so yeah, Masa, you can pull this off now. So in the 80s, you had like the crack epidemic. And you had the war on drugs came out, and so they thought people used drugs because of lack of education.
Yeah.
So they went and they did the DARE program, and the purpose was to reach young kids before the drugs reach them, to teach them to not use drugs. And so one day, a police officer comes to my classroom to talk to us about drugs. And first, no one knows what a drug is. It's like, does anyone know what drugs are?
Yeah, no crap, man.
Yeah. And then, but what was so funny is like he was talking about it, and I just remember we were going over what's a good drug and what's a bad drug. And he was saying things like aspirin or something is a good drug because it's from the doctor's office. And then they had like, I just remember they had like a picture of that, and then they had a picture of like soap. Of soap. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a good drug because we use that to clean our bodies and stuff. He's like, no, that's a bad drug because if you eat it, you'll get sick. It's just like, what?
As if you eat a bunch of aspirin, you're not going to get sick from that.
Like I know, but it's just so they had this campaign in elementary schools.
Yeah.
And it just was totally ineffective. It actually made people more interested in drugs.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't want to dive too much into this idea, but it's like you have modern day stuff with like the gender identity thing, and it's like, look, I'm not against a kid that believes, they're gay or trans or whatever, but like, we don't need to talk about that because they're a kid. They don't know. Did I know what a man was?
No.
When I was a kid? Of course not.
Yeah.
Like, how are you supposed to have like any idea of this? So it's like these kind of topics, like, high school.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a perfectly reasonable time to bring up those subjects. But in the U.S., it's constantly pushed on elementary kids. I just want to finish my statement. As a result, you know what's on the rise? Homeschooling.
Yeah, right.
Homeschooling's on the rise right now. There's a lot of people just pulling their kids out of school and just doing homeschooling.
Yeah, and that's its own can of worms. Because I know of a homeschooling family that I'm friends with, and they did a great job with their kids. Yeah, but not everyone does a great job with their kids.
No, I mean, my sister's kids are homeschooled, and they're great.
Yeah,
they're very well socialized. They have no issues. But on the other hand, I have met personally, like when I was in college, I've met people who grew up homeschooled and they're weird.
Yeah, right.
They have no idea how to communicate at all.
Right.
So it depends on the family. But
But it was interesting that you said how like it feels like in America they try to get their kids to grow up more.
There's a really big push for it.
Yeah. And I actually see this in my parenting style a lot because when I'm talking with my mom or I'm thinking about my kids, I'm thinking about what their current abilities are, what they should be doing, and how can I encourage them to get there as almost like they're kind of like a project for me. And personally, I think if you're not super pushy about it, I think that's actually a very good way to raise your kids because you want to be well-rounded. But if you push them too much, it can lead to the opposite.
Dude, I'm glad you brought that up because I actually just caught myself recently in a similar mindset that I really was not happy that I was there. So my daughter's 2.5 right now, and we're trying to potty train her.
Yeah.
Right. So we bought her like like toddler underwear and stuff, and we're trying to teach her how to use the toilet and everything. And I keep thinking to myself like, oh, well, I mean, she should be able to do this by now. Or just like she's just behind on this. And like she needs to just hurry up and get it done. And then I talk to my wife and she's like, I mean, when she figures it out, then she'll figure it out. That's fine. And I after she said that, I kind of like felt bad that I was like really trying to like push this. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, obviously try to work with them and help them figure it out. But I mean, they'll get it at their own pace.
Yeah. But dude, okay. So my wife says that I'm too strict on our kids too. And the thing is of course you don't want to push kids too much so that you cause damage on them. But kids are unique and they have their own personalities, their own strengths, their own proclivities, but they're also very moldable.
Yeah.
And so based on your actions, you are going to change how they are for their entire life. And so now's the time where you can start to instill these good habits in them. Because I know as a kid, I did not develop those good habits. And it's messing up it's not messing up my life. I have a good life. But it's making my life harder in ways that it doesn't need to be. Yeah. So like, once again, so the potty training thing for me too, like the way that I see how my wife raises our kids is she's much more hands off. Like, oh, they'll figure it out when they can. And I'm the opposite where it's like, oh, yeah, of course they'll figure it out when they want to, but this way is better. Like, why don't we try this or something? Yeah. But then like when we talked about this in the past too, but I don't know. I feel like there can be a good balance though, because otherwise
there probably can. I think there is going to be some give or take. Yeah. Like my main thing, like going back to like, when we started this episode, is what I really like in Japan is there's no skipping grades. Yeah. Doesn't matter if you're the smartest kid in class. If you already know the subject, you go through the same experience everyone else does. Yeah. And then the next year, it's the same thing. And you go through all the steps because it's just like exercise. You can't start off exercise as somebody who's never worked out before and expect to be a champion weightlifter. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you have a ton of muscle.
Yeah.
Right? You might start off exercising and just being a naturally like pretty strong person, but you don't know the technique. Right? You don't know the lifting technique. You don't know how to pick up the bell. Like there's a lot of things that you need to learn.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with growing up, right? You can like, if there was a textbook that was just like how to become an adult.
Yeah.
Right? That just literally step by step explained all the things of becoming an adult. You could memorize that textbook and you still would be like the most useless person alive. Right? And that's because it's like you have to live the human experience to grow up and be like, I hate to use this term, but like a normal person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well-rounded person.
Well-rounded person. There we go. Look at the PC Arthur right here.
Yeah. No, so for me too, like so if I can work from anywhere in the world. And if I really wanted to, I could go back to America. And the reason why I choose to stay in Japan, even though, like I told you over lunch, I'm really missing the States right now. I'm really missing Germany right now. I'd love to go back,
Yeah.
But the reason why I would want to stay here long term is I feel like once you get into middle school, it's a little bit, it's different. But for me, I think the biggest thing really is safety. I think.
You think so?
Yeah, because where my parents live now is not the safest of places. They used to live in a much safer place, but even so, there were like weird people. Like I remember my wife and her kids would go to the grocery store and like a weird person would be following them and stuff. And of course there are weird people in Japan too. Yeah. But I don't think it's at the same level, Like I don't smell weed on the streets here.
Hey guys. If you've watched this far, you're going to love our Austin and Arthur friends.
In the Austin and Arthur friends, you're going to really improve your English listening. And I mean a lot.
Yeah. So for each episode, you'll get English and Japanese subtitles, so you can check your listening and comprehension.
You'll also get access to a members-only community where you can talk with us, the both of us. Mainly me, right?
No, definitely not. For more info, click on the link here or here or here, or in the description box of this video.
Thanks for being our friend.
Woo!
I have no friends.
Some places I do here.
Really?
Yeah, you go around Harajuku these days and you get that weed smell.
Oh, really? Okay, well, Harajuku's like...
Harajuku's Harajuku. I mean, fair enough, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, one thing that I do, now that you bring up safety, one thing that I do think is an interesting talking point, because you have two boys, I have two girls, and I don't 100% agree that Japan's a safer place in the context of raising girls.
Yeah. Okay.
Because, I mean, look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's a lot of sexual assault on children here.
Yeah.
And like the vast majority, probably I would even guess like 99% of it's targeted against girls.
Yeah.
Right. Coming from experience of working at a girls' school, talking with girls here, it's like, it's very common, especially if you live in a big city and you're riding a train, you're going to get sexually assaulted at some point. That's just almost an inevitability.
Yeah.
Which is, it sucks to say, but so like there's a lot of conversation that I'm having with my wife right now of whether we want to live in the city or the countryside. And a big push for us not wanting to live in the city is so our kids don't have to ride the train.
Yeah.
So
they can't ride the women's only train in the morning?
I mean, it's still really crowded, and it's like, I'll give you an example. Like I used to ride Kein Toku when I first moved to Japan. And it's like, yeah, girls can ride that, but the thing is that stops being women's only when you get into like Tokyo proper.
Okay.
Right? It's like in certain areas it's women's only.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, like if you look at America, like obviously sexual assault happens in America, and America is also not a safe place, but I feel like your experience as a woman, you might feel safer in America than in Japan in that context.
Yeah, maybe, but in Japan, you can walk outside on the streets at night. You can't do that in America.
It's very true.
Most places in America.
Very true.
Like I remember my mom, so I had to go to my office or something. This is when we still lived in Musashi Kosugi.
Yeah.
And I had her like walk home by herself, and she was freaking out.
Yeah.
Because she was walking home by herself. And to be fair, they're very narrow streets, But like that's because she grew up in a town where a guy was walking outside by himself and he got killed by someone,
Yeah.
So there's a big danger with that, So like in America, you just don't go outside by yourself.
Dude, I mean, like there's so many examples. Like, I mean, violence is a really common thing outside of Japan. Yeah. I mean, it's common in Japan too, but I think it's like it's either more spread out or it's just not like it doesn't feel like you encounter it as much. I
keep on going by. I mean, so of course there's lots of strange people in Japan. There's lots of crime here too, but I really keep on feeling like Japan is like Disneyland because it's so organized and managed, and in that sense it's safe. Like of course you have the chikan and stuff and people steal your bikes, but you're not going to get shot. Dude, so you bring that up. Like growing up in my childhood neighborhood, when I was a kid, there was a girl who was murdered like half a mile from my house. Really?
She was just walking home from school and just ran up and shot her.
What?
This was when I was in the military. I was staying in California, and my buddy's apartment that I would go and hang out at sometimes, his next door neighbor, this was in like Long Beach, which is like a really shady area of Los Angeles. There's a lot of gang activity. So there was a gang shootout like right outside the apartment, and a stray bullet came in and killed her.
Man.
It happens a lot.
Yeah. Especially in those areas.
Yeah. So it's like, it's pretty common to grow up in America and be exposed to like people being killed.
Yeah.
Right. It's very common.
Yeah. And even so, not even in, but even, so when you go to Europe too, you have to be careful of pickpockets all the time. Like people steal the money from you.
I saw the most disturbing thing on the news. Well, it wasn't on the news. It was a YouTuber kind of like doing a documentary about this, but like the scam artists that are like around like the Eiffel Tower and like a lot of the attractions in France right now. It's just like, it's just the entire street around all of these like big places like the Eiffel Tower are just filled with people laying out like cheap Chinese knockoffs or, whatever scam. Like, there's like, Japan has rickshaw, right? And in Europe, they have, I forget what it's called, but it's like a little scooter thing.
Scooter taxi, yeah.
Yeah. And you can ride that. And basically they scam people because they say, oh, hey, it's like $30 to go to the Eiffel Tower. But in super, 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 super fine print that you can't see unless you're really looking for it, it's $30 per person.
Yeah, right.
Right? And so after they arrive, all of a sudden the person's like, hey, you owe me $90 to 3 people. And they're like, what? You said it was 30.
Yeah.
And it's like that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. And to be honest, like when I first saw the rickshaw people here, when I saw the rickshaw people here, I just try to stay away from them because I like the way that they talk to me just screams scam. Yeah. So that's interesting. So we talked about that a little bit. So we talked about a little bit about why we want to raise our kids here now. But how do you feel about when your kids get older, like high school?
I don't want my kids to go to college here.
Yeah,
I don't want them. Like, whatever my kids want to do, if they want to go here, I'm not gonna forbid it, right? But I'm gonna do everything in my power to try to convince them to not go to college here. And again, I'm just gonna sugarcoat it. I don't think the college education system here is good at all.
Yeah. It's not. It's like a waiting period for
it. It really is. Like I've had so many people explain it to me. Like, and I mean, you have your personal experience because you did go to college here, right? And
for 1 year,
And I've had people explain to me. These are Japanese people, not foreign people. They've explained to me like, hey, so like it's really, really hard to get into college here. Like you have to take the entrance exams, you have to study a lot, and especially getting into a good university, it's very hard. Once you're in, you kind of just mess around for 4 years.
Yeah. Or what a lot of people try to do is they try to get their kids into like the elementary school that's affiliated with the college, because then they can just coast until they get into college.
Yeah. So, I don't like that because I think college, I think the two most important like times of being in school is elementary school and college.
Okay.
Junior high's whatever. If you screw up
junior high is awkward.
It's okay if you screw up in junior high. It's kind of the purpose. And honestly, high school is kind of the same way.
Yeah.
Like, you know, as a high school teacher, like we really hype it up like, oh, you need to, this is so serious. But honestly, high school doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, if you do bad in high school, it's not the end of the world. You can totally recover. I got bad grades in high school.
Yeah.
Then, you know, like I went through the military and I went to college. I kind of like developed more of appreciation for studying. And I turned it around. There's tons of people who did badly. And
well, I would say high school doesn't really matter so much in the States because you can turn it around like that. Whereas here, there's much more of a focus on high school.
It's life or death.
Yeah.
I would say like elementary school and high school here in Japan are like the big ones, right? But the reason why I think that's wrong though is like the things you learn in high school don't prepare you to become an adult.
Yeah, right.
Even here in Japan, they don't prepare you to be an adult. All kids are doing at high school here in Japan is studying to get into college.
Yeah.
In high school in the US, it's kind of the same way, right? But when you get into college in the US, you study really hard, and college is really hard in the US.
Yeah.
It's like if you don't give it your all, you will drop out of college.
Yeah.
That's just the reality.
That's very true.
It's not built to like just coast through. But at the same time, your experience in college is what prepares you to become an adult, right?
Yeah,
it's
right.
often the first time a kid moves out and lives on their own. You know, they have to suddenly depend on their friend circle as their support network and instead of their parents, right? You can't just come home crying to mom after a bad day of school, right? You're in the dorms, you got to deal with it and deal with your friends, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like there's a lot of growing up that a lot of kids experience when they go into college in the United States. And I think that is like fundamental, man.
I know, and it doesn't really exist here.
Yeah, well, and you see it here too. Like, I mean, you don't work at a company, but I'm sure you understand what I mean by this. It's like when you get that new wave of people at your work in April, where it's like, all right, hey everybody, my name is Keiko. You know, I'm 22 years old. I just graduated college.
You don't know any 22-year-olds named Keiko.
No,
Keiko is such an old name, man.
It is. It's actually a very like American Japanese name.
Yeah,
you see Keiko a lot. It just popped in my head.
Okay,
but my point is, you get like this fresh 22-year-old person who's like, yeah, cool, I'm all bright-eyed and bushy. I just got out of college, and basically I got out of college in Japan, so I really just kind of traveled for 4 years. That's what I did, and it's just like, do you even know how to be an adult?
It's like, you know? Yeah, well, it's funny because even so in Japan, when you get to a new company, a lot of times your position isn't decided. You just kind of coast around and try.
No, that's so true though. Yeah. Like they go through like a year or two, and you know, here in Japan, it's kind of set up like instead of learning how to become an adult in college, that's kind of like the first couple years of your career, where it's like you kind of get molded, and it's like often like a mindset that a lot of people have here is you're not an adult until you get married.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of like a commonly thought thing here in Japan, right? And I don't think that's a good way to go about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's I kind of agree with you too. So I think like while my kids are younger, I want them to be here.
Yeah.
But I feel like, you know, the Japanese society is so rigid and insular and safe that if I want to have a child who can really make their own in the world, they need to be someplace where it's a bit harder.
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. I think, and once again, I'm more talking of like when somebody's like a young adult here in Japan, not so much like when they've developed a career or, you know, when they're a little kid, but I think Japan, especially in high school and college, really molds people into repetition and following directions, right? And what do I mean by this? Like if somebody's studying to become like an engineer or a doctor, right? There's a lot of things that you need to memorize and understand. Maybe a doctor's not a really good idea because you have to go to a bunch of school. But like, let's just say like an engineer or like a businessman, right? And you get in like a business company, and this is a tech company, and there's like, hey guys, we're trying to like push a new product. Okay, so we need you to develop a new product, send it to the advertising people, and let's try and make some money with a new product, right? And I think there's so many people here that look at the products that has already been made and then try to like make a newer version of that.
Pretty much copy it, just make it a little bit better, yeah.
And one of the things that I think specifically American, I'm not even going to say European, but specifically American universities try to do is they try to get people to be innovative.
Yeah.
In whatever they're studying. It's like, no. You're not copying the thing that the person's already done. I want something new.
Yeah.
Right?
The guy, so just to talk about that. So I think I've talked about this on the channel a few times, but I remember I felt that so strongly when I did my first Kimatsu Shiken, when I did my first final exam, especially in our nonverbal communication class. So I was taking a Higengo communication class, nonverbal communication.
Yeah.
And the final exam was coming up, and I was ready. I studied so much for that because I really wanted to ace this. So I looked at the basic concepts of what we learned about the relationship between interest and pupil dilation and like the Duchenne smile and the basic concepts that run through to make you know if someone's interested or not interested. How do you have good communication? And I was putting together these basic ways of thinking, these principles, because on a test in America, you are given a new problem that you've never seen before, and you have to use the principles that you've learned to solve that problem.
Yes.
And then when I get to the final exam, half of the questions were, what's the name of this face muscle? What's the name of this face muscle? What's the name of this face muscle?
Exactly.
And it was just rote memorization.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So I want my kids to be more, have more critical thinking, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And to Japan's credit, like, you know, because I follow the education, evolution here pretty closely, they're changing.
Okay.
But it's not going to be for another 10 or 20 years.
Okay.
Right? So, you know, if you're raising kids now, it's not for them. It's for the generation after them.
Yeah.
You know? So Japan will eventually change, but like, I really, really want my kids to grow up here in Japan. You know, for the reasons we kind of listed. It's safer here. I think there's a bigger emphasis on a kid being a kid.
Yeah.
I think there's like really wholesome experiences and like, you know, ways to develop into a well-rounded person here in Japan. But, you know, once they get into college, man, like, go to America.
I know. I will tell you, I never see kids playing in the park anymore in the States.
Ever.
But I see them here all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
But part of that is because I think that parents are just like so afraid of sending their kid outside. You know?
But the thing is then is if you send your kids outside by themselves, someone might call the police on you or something.
There was just a really famous story, I think like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
Of this mom got arrested because she had an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old, like her two sons. She left them at home and she's like, hey, I'm going to go to the store. Yeah. And it was gone for like, I don't know, 20 minutes or something. Yeah. And her neighbor saw it happen and called the cops on her. And, you know, so the cops showed up and like arrested her. And then the whole community got really angry about it. And eventually she got all the charges dropped. But it was like so ridiculous.
Yeah,
like,
right?
What are we doing?
I know. Well, I think that's a good place to finish that. So next time, we're going to be talking about things in America that we find strange after living here for so long.
There's a lot.
I'm so excited for this one. All right, I'll see you next time.
Yeah.